Hey, this is Mike from Run Testers, and this is our multi-tester review of the Asics Magic Speed 3. Here's the key stats for the Asics Magic Speed 3. It's priced at £160 in the UK and $160 in the US. It's got a 7mm drop like the Magic Speed 2, though it's jumped up a few millimeters at the forefoot and the heel on the stack height front. A UK size 8 weighed in at 210 grams or 7.4 ounces. Asics has swapped an engineered mesh upper for a motion wrap kind included on its Metaspeed series shoes to help reduce the overall weight. It still uses its FF Blast Plus in the midsole, but there's now 2 layers here alongside a full carbon plate. It also uses a similar Asics grip rubber outsole as featured on the Magic Speed 2 and the Metaspeed shoes too.
Fit's been really good for me in my normal size with the Asics Magic Speed 3. I've got a UK 9 here, which is my normal size. That's a US 10. That's the size I have in pretty much all Asics shoes. It's not quite as roomy a shoe as their more cushioned options like the Nimbus, which has a bit more room in the toe box. This has a racier fit and it's got that slightly more torpedo style to it, but I have a narrow fit that suits me really well. I really like this upper. I think it's really comfortable, certainly around the heel where it's very padded given that it's such a lightweight shoe. And yeah, I've had no concerns at all about the fit in my normal size, so I would stick with your normal size.
So in terms of fit, there's no getting away that this is a narrow fitting shoe. Now I've had this in a UK size 8. I had the Magic Speed 1 and 2 in a UK size 8 as well. Those are narrow fitting shoes as well too, but ultimately for me, my feet, my skinny feet, they've been absolutely fine. I've spent a lot of time in the Metaspeed Sky and Sky Plus as well, and I think there's similarities. If you use those shoes, then you'll know what to kind of experience or what to expect in terms of that fit with the Magic Speed 3. I was pretty happy, I didn't have any issues to really report. The space up front of the toes gives you scope to kind of run a little bit longer in it, I think, as well, if you want to. Lockdown's been absolutely fine for me. It's got that racing kind of profile and fit to it in general. Midfoot hold was absolutely fine, no issues, no kind of slippage. I couldn't manage to get a good fit in general. So yeah, I would say based on my testing, I wouldn't want to go half a size up or half a size down in this shoe. I think a UK size 8 worked fine for me. Similar story to what we got on the previous shoes. And as I said, it's narrow, so if you've got slightly wider feet, you might find them a bit of a snug fit in general.
I was a really big fan of the Asics Magic Speed 2. It became probably my favourite plated trainer just on fit. I think the Endorphin Speed 3 has a slightly more impressive ride, but the Magic Speed 3 fit me really well because of its slightly more narrow design for my narrow foot. The changes made to the Magic Speed 3 I think are quite interesting, and they do make it a faster, more performance-orientated shoe. It's certainly got a nippier feel to it, a less cushioned feel than the Magic Speed 2. And when I was running reps in the shoe, it felt really fast, really grounded. You really could feel the ground on your foot, under the forefoot in particular, and feel that acceleration, the pop from the plate. The foams aren't the bounciest, like it's good foam, this stuff. FF Blast Plus, it's great on certain shoes in Asics' range, but on the racier lineup, the FF Turbo Foam is better, it's noticeably bouncier. In my first run in the shoe, I did a session running K reps where I also used the Metaspeed Sky for a couple, and it's noticeable how much more kind of booming propulsion you get from the Metaspeed Sky. It feels more cushioned, especially under the forefoot, you get more bounce from it, but this still feels very fast, the Magic Speed 3. It's a really good shoe for speed workouts, but I do think it's lost a little bit of the versatility you had with the Magic Speed 2, which I did enjoy actually cruising around on easy runs in. I've done some easier pace stuff in the Magic Speed 3, but it never tends to be that easy pace. This is a shoe that's always itching to rock you forward, give you a nice powerful toe off and run fast. It's really very much a speed focused shoe. That's no bad thing. That is something I think you've got to bear in mind when looking at it. In this super trainer category, there are a lot of shoes that are billed more as all-rounders, whereas I think the Magic Speed 3 really is a speed-focused shoe and a shoe that works as an alternative to carbon super shoes if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, or as a fast training shoe. And that's what I've mainly used it for. Like, I really enjoyed running reps in it down at the track. Again, I was running 400 and 800 and it just really does feel grounded for what is still quite a high stack shoe, and it feels really fast, really easy to accelerate in the shoe. But then I think when it comes to holding good paces over longer periods, lacks a little bit of the cushioning, the efficiency, the bounce of full super shoes, which just have slightly higher stack, slightly better foams in the midsole. I also did a park run in this shoe, all out, and I enjoyed that as well. Like, I ran I think 16:43, which is a great time, but probably about right for my fitness right now. And the shoe for the most part felt very light, nimble, in a couple of twists and turns. It felt like a great shoe for the course at times. And there was a big steep downhill at the start where it was really tipping it down with rain and the shoe gripped really well, I'll say that. And then when it came to a slightly longer straight, the kind of last K1/2 of the race for a little hill at the end, that's I think where you lose a bit of the bounce and propulsion of full super shoes. Like, we just get locked into a nice straight, very good surface when you get the really explosive, powerful feel from a full super shoe. You just lack a little bit from this, I think. It feels a little bit in between a super shoe and then something like the Adios 8, which is more of a racing flat feel, a bit of a flatter feel. You do get a little bit of bounce from this, but the foam isn't as lively, the stack isn't quite as high, and you don't get as much punch from it. But all in all, I really liked running in it. I think it's a really nice, fast shoe. I think some people might like to use it as an all-rounder. I think probably not that many. Like, I just found it wasn't that suitable for easy paces. Like, it was okay for them, but it really is geared for speed, and that I think limits where you put it in a rotation a little bit. But all in all, a very good fast running shoe, and a really nice update from Asics to improve the shoe in a few ways, make it lighter, add a really nice upper, and actually also slightly increase the coverage of the outsole on the bottom there.
So in terms of that run test, I have raced in this shoe, I have done track sessions with it, I have done kind of more up-tempo longer runs, and I've tried to do a slower, kind of longer, easy run in it as well. Now, in terms of where it's best performed, it definitely has been on those faster runs. I do think it is built for speed. I think compared to the Magic Speed 1 and the Magic Speed 2, I definitely think it is better suited for that kind of quicker stuff. It's definitely not as firm feeling as those shoes, and I think that's a massive plus for me. I think in terms of you're getting overall, you're definitely getting something that puts you much closer to the ground, which I kind of like. You've got this nice light upper. It's really built for speed and racing, and that's kind of what I felt it's excelled best at. It's nicely responsive, it's lively, it's energetic. You get a nice pop. You've got that full length carbon plate in here that when you're running a little bit quicker in it, you do really feel the benefits of, and you're really engaging with it a lot more, that in terms of what you're getting here with the shoe and how low profile it feels compared to the other two shoes. And it's giving you more of those elements from those Metaspeed series shoes. It's not as bouncy as the Metaspeed Sky Plus and Edge Plus. I think in terms of distances it works. I think I probably max out a half marathon in it in terms of training and racing. I think in terms of compared to the Magic Speed 2, I think maybe that worked a little bit nicer, easier paces, where I think with the Magic Speed 3, it just felt, you wanted a little bit more cushioning, which you do get again in the Metaspeed series shoes as well, and I think feels a lot more comfortable and nicer to run longer distances in. But in terms of the kind of shorter, sharper stuff, the speed sessions, the track sessions, there's quicker, more up-tempo runs, when I want to run a little bit closer to my quicker kind of 10k, 5k, maybe half marathon pace, and I think that's where this shoe has excelled or worked best for me. Not so much that the slow runs. Outsole wise, you get very similar to what we got on the Magic Speed 2, which I found absolutely fine in general in terms of kind of dry roads, pavements, where I think you're going to use this shoe or want to use this shoe. Durability wise, it feels a lot better than the Metaspeed series shoes, which is understandable, and what we've seen. Ultimately, this is more of a training kind of partner. I'm seeing a little bit of wear here now at the back of the shoe, but it's not as bad as what I've seen with a similar level of distance covered in the Metaspeed series shoes. From a durability point of view, I think it's going to be pretty good, and gripping in terms of wet and dry conditions has been absolutely fine for me. So yeah, I definitely think in terms of being a super trainer, it's it's a faster super trainer. It's definitely built for those faster speeds, less so than being something you can work for those kind of slower, easy runs. But if you're looking for something that's got a racing slant to it, can work for, I think, for this kind of I said speed sessions, track sessions, racing, maybe kind of 5, 10k, half marathon distance. I think this works really well, and it's available at a good price as well. Again, and I think a nice light shoe as well, which is something I've really liked and really valued in my time with it. And yeah, overall very impressed in most of the runs I've done, particularly in the quicker runs that I've done in the Magic Speed 3.
Magic Speed 3, really good shoe. One of my favourite super trainers, and one that really lives up to the idea that it's a cheaper version of a full carbon super shoe. This is a very good racing shoe if you want to use it either as your main racing shoe, as a cheaper option than full carbon super shoes, or as almost like a secondary racer, a shoe that you'd have for speed sessions, and then take something like that park run I used it for if I only had one carbon super shoe. Obviously I have loads knocking around, but if I only had one carbon super shoe, I probably wouldn't take it to a wet park run, in the middle of a period of training when I'm not that fit. This is exactly the kind of shoe that's perfect for it, where you can do a lot of training, it's a little bit more durable, it's not quite as explosive and powerful powerful as those carbon shoes, but it's still very quick, and you're really not going to lose a lot over those short distances, I think, compared to the top super shoes. You'll lose a lot more, I think, at longer distances, where you start to lose that bouncy propulsive feeling, the efficiency benefits of the better foams you get on those shoes, and the slightly higher stack, especially under the forefoot, which I think will be more comfortable over something like a marathon than the Magic Speed 3, but it will still be a good long distance racing shoe as well. I think probably has a lot of people have older carbon shoes that work just as well as this as a secondary fast plated shoe in their lineup, or you can pick up older shoes like the Vaporfly or Endorphin Pro 3 for around the 160 pound mark that this shoe is pitched at. But looking down the line, the future, if this ends up in sales itself nearer £100, $100, then it's a really nice shoe to pick up and have in a rotation. It's a little bit racier, a little bit faster than a lot of the super trainers we see these days. I think if you look at something like the Hoka Mach X or the Kinvara Pro, the New Balance SC Trainer 2, this is a much more speed focused shoe, and I think it lives up to that super trainer billing a lot better than those shoes as a result, but it does lose some of the versatility you get from those other shoes, which are a bit more comfortable for easy cruising. If you're comparing it to the best in the business in this type of shoes, the Endorphin Speed 3, the Adidas Boston 12, I think those shoes are a bit more versatile. They have a lot more comfort and enjoyment in the ride at slower speeds. I think the Magic Speed 3 is a slightly faster shoe than both of those if you're looking at all out reps, but then that's short reps. If I was looking at cruising through longer tempo runs, doing kind of 20-minute hard runs, long marathon pace sessions, that kind of thing, I'd probably prefer to be in the Boston 12 or the Endorphin 3 myself, as they're a little bit more comfortable and they feel slightly better cruising at those good paces, if not all out paces, than the Magic Speed 3. So yeah, a little tricky one to fit in, but if you can see it at a good price, you need a speed shoe in your rotation, you want a secondary racer, then it's a really good option. If you don't want to spend really big on a carbon super shoe, then this is a nice, cheaper alternative. Actually, at that park run I was running in, the guy who came behind me was in the Magic Speed 2. I saw some Endorphin Speeds around. These kind of shoes do really work well for things like park runs, and those, like I say, those kind of secondary races where you just want to have a good hard run out and maybe want to save your super shoes for another day. But yeah, a really enjoyable update, good shoe. Maybe not as versatile as some of those other super trainers out there, but a really fast option and a really fun one to run in.
Okay, so my verdict on the Asics Magic Speed 3, and I think there's a few ways to look at this. If we think about it as, compared to the previous Magic Speed shoes, and those shoes being billed as kind of training companion shoes for the Metaspeed series shoes, this does a far better job of that than the previous two Magic Speeds. And I think, it brings enough the traits of those Metaspeed shoes that you could probably use these for your speed work, your faster kind of slightly longer runs in, and save the Metaspeed shoes for your race day, and where the outsole durability and durability in general is probably not as strong as you're getting on the Magic Speed 3. Other way to look at it is we're thinking about these kind of super trainer shoes and how it works from being something that you can use for all of your runs. I definitely do think it's more geared towards faster running. I mean, the clue's in the name, it's called Magic Speed, and I think in terms of what you feel and what I felt in this shoe, it is better suited for those quicker runs or quicker training runs. I think when you ease off on it, it doesn't really work as well. So if you're looking for something that can work for your slower and quicker runs, I don't think that's where it excels at. It's definitely on that fastest side of things. I think distance wise, I probably wouldn't go more than a half marathon distance in it personally. I'm not sure. I think there's a bit more you're getting from the Metaspeed Sky Plus in terms of what you're getting over longer distances and what you're getting from the cushioning and that feel over longer distances. But in terms of being a affordable shoe that you can train in your faster runs, do some racing, I would say probably up to half marathon distance based on my testing, then I think it definitely works on that front. I've enjoyed running in this shoe. It's one that I will use and I will continue to still use for my faster sessions. And I think that's the biggest compliment I'm giving the Magic Speed 3. I think it really does excel at the super trainers that I've used so far in terms of being something that can work for kind of quicker runs and quicker training runs. And it's definitely a better fitting companion shoe for the Metaspeed Sky Plus, which I do use and will use for my marathons when I'm back to running marathons again. And yeah, overall very, very impressed with the Magic Speed 3 and definitely a step up on the first two shoes. Okay, so there you have it. That is our take on the Asics Magic Speed 3. Now we will have some comparison videos with other super trainers, so keep a lookout on the channel for those very soon. As always, like and subscribe, hit that little bell to find out about our latest videos, and yeah, we'll see you in that fantastic video.